Today's episode is sponsored by Sandals Resorts and Brightco Insurance. What's up, Chillas? It's a new year, which means there's new trends. And back with us is our friend Meghan Ely of OFD Consulting. And she's going to be sharing the 2026 trend report that her and Terica have put together. And man, there are some cool ass things happening this year. And I am stoked to deep dive with you on this.
I love your enthusiasm. Me too. It is a bear. It's like it's a year-round process to pull all the trends, but when it comes out, it's just so exciting to get reactions and the good, bad, and the ugly. You know what I mean?
The good, bad, ugly.
Yeah, it's fun to get the energy, around it. So I'm jazzed to be back. I had so much fun last year going through it with you, and so much has changed, which is really neat.
So much.
It's not a rinse and repeat at all.
Mm-mm. Well, so speaking of good, bad, and ugly, not on your report, recently Pantone had came out with their color of the year being Cloud Dancer.
Was that a color?
And Minted and Brides had Island Citrus.
Yes.
Couldn't be more polar opposite of each other with trends. So tell us what you're thinking with these colors of the year.
Sure. Here's the thing. Minted and Brights, they do their own thing. And I thought it was pretty neat to see. I mean, the fact is, orange has come to the forefront probably 3 times in the last 15 years. So that wasn't a huge surprise. It wasn't like groundbreaking, but I thought it
Plurals for spring, groundbreaking.
Exactly. You knew where that was going. Little bit of pop culture there. There's going to be Easter eggs, listeners. There are going to be Easter eggs. And so for that, it was like, okay, that's great. And it's a newer thing that they're doing. And of course, now with everything going on with the layoffs at Brides, it's like, will they do it again? I don't know. So let's focus on Pantone. I'll be honest with you. I mean, if you interviewed me every year, there's never going to be a satisfied moment like ever with outside of, I really loved Emerald many years ago. And I think Mimosa was one of the first years, like 2000 for me in OFT. I thought those were really great. And there's nothing worse than the baby pink, baby blue year. Like even this, I would say, but it's a close second. So when they rolled out white, I mean, here's the thing. Let me say this. In my world of wedding publicity, what we do is we wait with bated breath. It's my least favorite day of the year because you just don't know what's coming. I'm a control person, and to have to plan this whole media blitz around something I don't know until 8:35 in the morning Eastern time is not like my favorite. But when they rolled out white, of all things, I thought, how not creative. Now, okay, did we find some wedding pros who leaned in and said some really great things? Yes. Let me be positive.
I said clean slate. And Lord knows after how our country has been going, we could use a clean slate.
Maybe we needed this. But I loved, some of my wedding pros really leaned in authentically. I told them too, I was like, if you don't love this, don't pretend you do.
Right.
It's fine. There'll be other terrible releases and then but I love the idea, people were talking about various hues of white and also the play on texture. I can get on board with that, but I've got to tell you, I was only more disappointed was the baby pink, baby blue year, which I don't think I've ever recovered from. I've never recovered from that. That was awful. I was like, baby shit. I don't even know. But a gender reveal year, right? What was
I don't know.
that?
I'm still the whole mocha mousse of 2025 still to me is kind of is it a shit stain? I don't know. But I saw it played really nicely in some weddings, but then in some it's it just looks dirty.
I mean, listen, we were rolling off of yellow gray, which was are we back in 2010? And listen, brown was it in 2009. As somebody who might
a good chocolate brown. Yeah, I love a good chocolate brown.
Yeah. And so for me, I was like, okay, I wasn't super surprised. White was just disappointing because I felt they weren't trying. I just felt like it went. And there's just problematic in a number of different ways. So it was unfortunate, but focus on the wedding industry as a whole. The fact is we already see white all the time. So it was kind of well, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
We're trying to get couples to embrace color, not turn it off completely, So anyways, I could go on and on. It was not my favorite reveal, but certainly it was an exciting one because all day DMs and texts and voice memos. And I had one of the former guests, Janice, go on send me a voice memo. Yeah. And she goes, okay, I'm about to scream. So go ahead and take that phone away from your ear. So that was kind of memorable, right?
I've never seen more people passionate about a color than this year's color for Pantone.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Cloud Dancer did not land.
on anything, really. No. And like I said, we did find a handful of wedding pros who I thought thoughtfully embraced it, and all the more power to them, because the fact is all white weddings are here. Like people, and I don't want couples out there listening thinking they can't do that, because they absolutely can. They have to, I don't want to offend anyone doing an all white wedding because it'd be very
especially
elegant.
like minimalists that do not want all the color. Like I don't want bold. And
what we're seeing though is when a huge brand, global brand says, attention everyone, color of the year, they should go bigger than white, That's what we mean by that.
So no color is not a color? Is that what we're saying?
I guess. I guess we'll check back in next year. But again, I have like about a 5% acceptance rate of the Pantone color of the year. So this tracks that I'm not like
What about
thrilled.
Island Citrus? Do you see that gaining traction?
Well, the colors we're seeing colors across the board. Like if we want to start and say, hey, listen, couples, colors, prints, textures. Like it's so funny. We're not relegated to my colors are blush and bashful anymore.
Yeah.
And my colors
Love
are
that
not,
reference.
Yeah. My colors mine were sage green and chocolate brown in 2009. Like, and now it's many colors. When we had to identify colors for the trends at Wedding MBA, there were 3 in particular that stood out to us. Reds, which carry over a little bit from last year. And it's all sorts of shades of red. Like people are taking red and doing many shades of it out their way. Like it's very, very cool. We're seeing lots of green, and we're also seeing butter yellow. So those are the colors we're seeing right now. I was hoping for some sort of green rollout here.
I thought green was going to be the color also. That was my prediction.
I mean, we've seen green. It depends on how often they've done emerald, and it was beautiful. That was beautiful. Probably that mimosa were my favorite years, but that's only twice I've liked it in 20 years. So I'm kind of picky.
I thought they were going to go back to like more of a sage because mint was more popular more recently, and they already did the emerald. So I thought it was going to go more of like a mossy sage. I thought it was going to be the jam.
I also love British Racing green. Is that what it's called? British Racing Stripe. I love that color. I want it all over my kitchen someday. Like, mark my words. We'll do an interview. I'll be in that kitchen one day.
Yes.
But yeah, so those are the colors we're seeing, and lots of play on textures, but lots of bright, bold color. Citrus absolutely could work. I'm not saying it wouldn't. It's just an interesting one to throw in the mix,
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk more about texture because there's some that are trending that are going to look so beautiful and is fascinating. But before we get into that, I do want to ask you about cultural shifts. We're seeing some cultural shifts happening this year. And can you expand on that more?
I think the cultural shifts, honestly, it's multi-year. Because shifts to me, it's like let me take a step back. You've got fads and trends and shifts, right? Gratefully fads, which are usually ridiculous things. Like picture let's put Godzilla in the background of our picture and have it chasing us. Like that's a fad that's short, less than a season. Trends, season and a half. So shifts, when you and I are talking about that, that's multi-year. That usually starts as a trend, and we start to kind of see movement in that direction when it comes to that. And so
like disco balls, for example, would be at one.
Or even larger than that, like 30,000 view, it would be more intimate weddings post-COVID. People still do large weddings, absolutely, but now they don't have to apologize for the more intimate ones. You know what I mean? Like
micro weddings for the win.
Yeah, micro weddings, anything under 100, it's less apologetic. Oh, we're going to keep it small. Sorry. It's like, no, not sorry. But I think if we're talking about overarching, I should say, cultural shift, it's going to be, I do what I want. I do what I want. Like Pantone color of the year comes out and everyone's like, what the hell? Like, I'm not doing that unless they really want to, And so it's the whole, I do what I want, is going to be a big shift that we continue over the last 5 years. First, people were really given almost quote unquote permission. I don't like using that term, but I guess it is, of like, well, hey, these circumstances cause you to do it a certain way. But now it's like, I could do it this way and it's fine. So that's a big shift. The other shift we're seeing is I like to call it guest focused. It's very guest focused. So it is, yes, we've seen over the years the shift towards personalization. I think that is just what it is now, right? We're not keeping up with the Joneses. We're just showing people exactly who we are as a couple and as people. And I love that. But I also think guest forward thinking of, will they really enjoy that? We're going to probably talk about, there's really a rise in entertainment and being unique with that. And I think a lot of these things are, and we're also going to talk, I think, probably a little bit about the gifting trend. And it all goes back to guest forward. Like, what are they going to enjoy? I want them to have a great time. And I love that shift. I love it.
Yeah, let's jump ahead and go right into that actually, because that was such a huge section of your presentation is both the interactive and personalized experiences and the showing era, if you will, of where the couple really is in charge of doing things and making themselves more of a character, I guess, if you will.
Yeah, it's kind
the
of
way
fun,
I
like
was looking at
cameos,
it.
client cameos.
The cameo. Yes, the cameos. So
Yeah.
first, let's go into the interactive and
Yes.
personalization part.
Yeah, and so it's funny because, I mean, this beast of which you got to see, the beast of a presentation is over 100 slides, right? And I was talking to a journalist.
I was drinking it up. It's so fun to go through your presentation.
I love hearing that. And
I've never loved the slideshow more than I love your yearly trends. Seriously.
So it's Love. We did it with Love Inc., meaning Love Inc. Writer reached out to us. And they're like, okay, Meghan, you have to pick one. I was like, seriously? And I said, the interactive gifting is huge. So it goes back to that guest experience. And I love it. Now, I'm not trying to knock favors. I just know it doesn't work for everybody, right? Like I had favors at my wedding all those years ago. Shout out to my Lost themed Dharma cookies that went out in 2009. It was of the time, everybody. But what's cool is now there's an interactive area where things are being made on site. And we started to get in the last year and a half, seeing more of that actually at industry conferences. Like I was attending things where things were being monogrammed and made for you on site. And you and I were talking about Collective Vow, which is in your area, and they did trucker caps last year. So you're starting to see more of that. And so the idea is it could be anything from like in Texas, having the hats there where they can be branded. It could be smaller things like leather bookmarks. We're seeing
the big ice cubes are at every event I've been going to lately. People are branding the ice cube.
Oh, that's fun too.
In their Manhattan or Old Fashioned.
We're seeing the branding, but we're seeing like the gifting era, and it's really fun. I would say one of the things I couldn't put on the slide, just because it was a video, videos are a little tough on the big stage, is going to be merch areas. So like you have a merch store for your wedding. Now, the New York Times covered it in the last year. It was awesome. But I, as a chronic like online person for TikTok all the time, I started seeing couples where you would have like branded t-shirts. So imagine you're at the Eras tour and you have to go to the merch area. It's the same thing. And if the budget works for it, I think that's incredibly fun. So I love seeing that.
I love that you said if the budget works for it. Don't feel pressure if you don't have it in the budget, but
then don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Like go grab merch from someone else's wedding and have fun with it. So, but I love to see that kind of, that interactive gifting has been a lot of fun to see. So I love that. Sometimes the interactive, it goes into the displays when it comes to, of course, escort cards, which we've seen for years, but it's getting...
I love. It's a dual duty with your budget.
Yeah, it's really leveled up. I just saw one recently so the Lucky Onion, it was so funny, which if we have any wedding pros listening, guys, blog, because this is how we find you. But I really was trying to land on a few trends. And my on the first page of Google, it was all these upcoming trends. It was the Lucky Onion, who's a friend of mine. And I wrote her, I was like, girl, wait a minute, what? Like I was so lucky to land on her. And she showed these gorgeous photos where you had this one bride in particular, right? And this was on one of the slides. And it's cool to have the context where she was an equestrian growing up. Horses are a big part of the couple, and they love books and all those things. So when you came on site to get your escort card, it felt like you were walking into a living room, and it had like horse thing. It was just very, very lovely. So if that can be done, that's very cool. So I would say interactive gifting as a whole, it gives people a chance. That's something you're talking about, right? Because if you've got guests who don't know each other, maybe you talk at the bar, right? Maybe, but this is really like something you could be standing next to a long lost uncle, right? And then you have something to talk about. I think that's very fun. And it's something that memorable they can take home with them. And these interactive things are really leaning into the guests themselves. I'm sure you saw one of the slides. There was one done at Mankin Mansion here in Richmond where it was tattoos. It was temp tattoos.
Those are becoming so popular even for birthdays. My friend just turned 40 and we had temp tattoos of like her face and that.
Oh my gosh. I did temp tattoos for my husband's 40th birthday 9 years ago. So
did you?
I did rabbits because he has a rabbit on it from his favorite book.
I know that the live tattoos have been a thing, but they're not as common because I think it's a little bit harder, especially cost-wise.
You also have to have people willing to be like, make it permanent. You know what I mean? And if you have the right crowd, then you have the right crowd for it. So That's what we're seeing on that side of things. I think, again, I don't want your listeners to panic because they don't have the budget for it. It's absolutely fine. People sometimes will move it to the welcome party, something smaller, rehearsal dinner, post brunch. You know what I mean? Like little things.
Thank you for saying that, because there are other parties involved, and you
Yeah.
can find other ways to incorporate things that you'd like to do.
100%.
You had perfume bars on here, and as someone that's really sensitive to scents, I wonder how that goes, because that could get overwhelming.
Yes, it's a practicality that goes with it. That's something that Terica asked to add because she's seeing it more. We have been seeing, I went to a Whip of Chicago event, and they actually had it as well. And so I think you'd have to be very mindful of, because we don't always know, we might know someone's a vegetarian, but we don't know if they're sensitive to smell. And so I think you would have to talk to the planner about it, placement of it, talk to the perfume bar, because I'm sure they get that question. I remember at Whip of Chicago when I went, it did not overwhelmingly smell in that area. You know what I mean? It really didn't. It was, and so I think there's a way that they do it where it's all enclosed in glass anyway. So you're like holding it up to your nose instead of walking. But, you know, it's not like a Macy's checkout counter, perfume counter or something for your
It's not full on what I was picturing. I figured like it'd be like a nice tablescape in that, but just if people are spraying it around and then it kind of goes.
Yeah.
It's one thing if you're doing like the trend in the mid like 2010s, I think is when it became really popular to infuse your space with a signature scent.
Yes.
Very hotel-like.
People are still doing that, actually.
But
you have to make sure. Oh, yeah. We actually had at Wedding MBA someone speaking on that. There's a whole, my son still walks around with a hotel spray and sprays it before like play dates. he's
I love that.
He's a hospitality kid though, so that's a little different.
So, well, with the gifting experience, you also have, like we were mentioning, the cameos. So obviously, the couple that's getting married, you already are the star of the show, but now it's like a whole elevated Eras Tour type of level.
Yeah, it's a surprise and delight factor, which I actually like. You know, I'm sure some people may think it's performative, but I think it's very sweet if it makes sense, because it's not that different than, 30 years ago, I was in my first wedding and I had the best taffeta green dress you've ever seen. And my cousin busted out the guitar planned for the ceremony and sang to his new wife, Kelly. And that was very sweet. So it's not that different from like they come out. It's just it's doing it in a way that you didn't expect them to come out. And so what we're seeing sometimes late night snacks, you'll see someone come out with like they're serving, like they're just coming out. This is cute because they got the tray, as long as they're sober or semi-sober, because you can be careful with all that. But then also if one of them is an accomplished musician and they can plan ahead with the band, like that's amazing. But we've also seen over the years, these couples going behind the DJ booth as well, as long as the DJ has obviously planned it with them ahead of time. So I think it's really an extension of what we've seen over the years, but in a surprise element, which I think can be a lot of fun and can be great for pictures, as we've seen.
Yeah. Like dancers, you mentioned statement entrances, which I don't think with statement entrances, we're not talking about the typical traditional calling in the bridal party, the wedding party before the reception. That's
a great question. Okay, so if we're talking about, I'd love to take a moment to dive into this with you, if that's okay, because really,
please.
We talk about interactive and all that, but if you had said, okay, what's like another overarching, I'd be like, it's the rise of entertainment. Like I feel very strongly about that over the years. It's like a bunch of years ago when all the florals were super voluminous and you're carrying down, and it was like their era, right? And it still is. Don't get me wrong. Everyone wants flowers. It just looks different now. Now people, their eyes are really focused on entertainment. I'm here for it. I just think really, it's a long over. I'm getting little goosebumps. Oh my gosh. I'm like excited for all my entertainment
It's something
friends.
People will remember in a good way, hopefully, but.
No. And so what we see on that side is this. It's a few things. It's going to be a mix of course, DJ or band or both or whatever, having an MC, so you've already seen that kind of leveling up. But now what we're seeing are things like, well, I'll give you a few examples. As people are entering, like that memorable welcome. I'm going to take it back for a second, give you an example, is we went to RSVP Club in Miami. It was this luxury wedding conference. My friend Leah Weinberg and I went, and before we walked into more of the registration area, there were two separate entertainment acts as we're walking, like not even walking, it was before.
Wow.
One was like outside before we walked in the building. And it's kind of that like you just didn't expect them to be there. Again, a surprise and delight element, unexpected sort of entertainment's been very fun as well. Bringing in dancers, which we've seen in the past for honoring cultures. And so this is going to be an expansion of that and doing, it's maybe that's not the reason they're doing it, but they want to bring in dancers that party attitude. I just love all that.
Years ago, when I was a bridesmaid at my friend's wedding, she had the Cleveland Cavaliers scream team surprise everyone and come out on the dance floor.
Okay, that's amazing.
So like the hip hop crew and stuff.
That's incredible.
So fun.
So those are fun, and people remember those moments. And Ariana Strings, who we work with, and she was the one who brought this to our attention. And this is done really well with a lot of when we present these trends is, when you think about string quartet, you think about classical, right? So let's say she says, you're seeing, and she could give it more justice, but you see them at the ceremony, that's expected, right?
Yeah.
But then you bring them into the cocktail hour, they're on display basically. Like, I've seen them where they've been on boxes and they become the entertainment. And when you're listening, you're like, oh, that's classical sounding, but it's actually today's music, kind of almost like a la Bridgerton, right? So with all of that. So I love it. I love all of it. I think that entertainment is long overdue to get their due, to be perfectly honest.
Something I'm seeing too on that is, I know it's happening in weddings, but like this past New Year's, Dave and I had gone to New Year's becoming 2025. We had gone to a big fancy like party, and as soon as you entered, there's different areas of like DJs and live bands, stuff like that. But when you entered the place, they had the roaming saxophone player. So as you were like entering, as you're going to the bar and all this kind of stuff, they had the roaming saxophone player, and I've been seeing that a lot more.
I love it. I think
events.
It's great. And music is just such an amazing way to pay homage to all sorts of personalizations and fun things. And at my own wedding years ago, one of my favorite people, her husband, he had this great song that isn't typically played. Like it's this whole, I can't even explain the song, but it's very local to Richmond. It's about smoking, not cigarette. But it's just such a catchy song. So we played it during the cocktail hour, kind of low listening. And so when people walked in, they heard it because it's very jazzy. And then they're like, wait, what's happening? But it was such a fun, meaningful song because we always used to sing it in the car. We still do. We taught it to our kids. So as you can see, my parenting is like right on. But anyways, people really, it was memorable for them. And I love seeing people do that today.
Well, so we had Johnny on and we had our friend Kevin Dennis on, 2 different entertainment episodes a few months back, and both had mentioned the rise of popularity of using more unique songs like video game soundtracks. Like a lot of people are leaning into like Zelda and Mario.
I love it.
Final Fantasy. Like I think that's something, think outside the box, and if there's something that you and your significant other have, maybe your favorite show is Big Bang Theory, and so you want to find a way to incorporate that theme song. You know what I mean? I
love it. And what's nice about this, there's 2 things. One is you can get a lot of inspiration online. Not to keep calling out TikTok, which did not sponsor this episode, by the way, but you see these wonderful pianists on there who will show you how to start with like Pachelbel canon, and then it goes into like, I don't even know, like Eminem. And you're like, what?
Yeah,
and I love it, but it's done so well. But also, that fits any budget. And I love that. Not to keep going back to the money here, but I know when people, I'm very sensitive to wedding day spend. And I don't want listeners to think there aren't ways. Like, that's a great way to personally, if you're already hiring someone, talking to, making sure that music is there, I think is such a memorable, low-cost way to do it.
Back to the cameo of the couple for a second, and kind of I guess it ties in with the entertainment as well, but at what point is it being a live performance and being personal, and at what point is it just performative and just being so extra?
Well, I think it's the length of it too, because it's like, well, listen, if you've got someone who comes in and they just serve and then they're back on the dance floor hanging out with friends, that's just fun. No, if someone makes a whole act in, a play in 3 acts, it's like, okay, like how long do we take? Or if it's playing for one song, great. If they're playing all night, well, I'd probably question that as well, right? So I would say how long we draw to the couple, I think tells you how performative it is. Now, don't get me wrong, too. There are going to be, anybody could do the cameo. There are some people who embrace it in a way that might be a little much. You know what I mean? Like, it's on me,
They're an extra
extra.
personality anyways, probably.
Yeah. So I think it really ties into the length of the time that you're drawing the eye towards them, you know?
Just remember, you're doing this for you and not for Instagram. Like,
yes. Oh my gosh.
If you're doing it for social media, you might need to kind of rethink.
And get a therapist.
I mean, and we've talked on this here before about like the rise of the bride influencer and stuff like that. Because like that is kind of messing up the culture, I think, because there's an unnecessary pressure for things that you don't really vibe with or need or want.
I think it comes down to, I mean, not that we're becoming armchair experts, but here we are, is the idea of internal validation. Like I grew up, the way I was raised, the way I moved through life, I am 100% internal validation. If something gets 1 likes or 600 likes, I could care less. I mean, obviously strategically as a business, but if I'm posting on my teeny weeny little Instagram, that's just my own, I don't really care about that. But so if someone really is looking for that external validation, I think they've got bigger fish to fry. So I would say you're doing it for yourself, your couple, the group you're with. Again, that's why I love the idea of the guest forward. You know, because it's really about them as well. So yeah, guys, don't worry about it. Don't worry. You're married. That's exciting. Go enjoy that. Don't worry about the likes or
and
the
think
publishing.
about, with the guest experience, think about the basics too. We've covered that in here before, but where are they putting their coat? How soon are they getting a drink? Are they waiting in line? Is the food going to be cold? Like the ADA accessibility.
Yes.
Things like that, you know, that people overlook and don't think about, which is understanding because your first time hosting, you know, most of the time planning. Yeah. Those are things to definitely consider.
This is all above and beyond the basics. You know what I mean? Like this is, you're right. You have to make sure that the guests are comfortable, ADA compliant, you know, things like that have to be covered first. And if you've got extra bandwidth to do some fun stuff after, great. And if you don't worry about it.
Yeah. And this is all the fun stuff. We're, okay. So when we were talking about Cloud Dancer, we're going to bring it back to Pantone for a second. When you had mentioned that some people in the industry did find some clever ways to show how to utilize it, I thought about some of the things you put on here when it comes to like minimalism versus maximalism. Maximalism's a trending for 2026. Max is back. As well as things like ruching and ruffles.
Yes, the year
texture.
Of the squiggle. Year of the squiggle is what my team and I call it.
Year of the squiggle?
Everything has a squiggle in it. The wavy ceilings.
Oh, that means serpentine tables are still here, huh?
As someone who's in catering, I get a little like, I mean, they're so beautiful, but I'm like, how does that work? Who are you talking with?
We'll come back to that later when we get to Fuck It, Fuck It.
Okay. Now I know you're a spoiler alert.
But talk to us about this, maximalism and the different textures and richness that we're seeing for 26.
And I want to thank, actually, I do want to do a quick shout out to New Watch because they're the ones who brought it to our attention. So one of the things about this trend talk for this year, just to kind of lift the veil on it, if you will, is that, yes, we do a lot of observation, but sometimes we reach out to people, not sponsored, like we just reach out to friends that we trust in the industry, research, all of those things. So we reached out to New Watch because they are it when it comes to like linens and all those things. And they said maximalism, and we were looking and said, you know, this does track that we're seeing. And so I love the idea. It's, again, within the budget, within your look, but it's like, here's everything I love. But then it has to be done in an artful way, right? But it's okay.
You don't want to look cluttered.
Yeah. You don't want to look cluttered, which is kind of a different trend, which I'm sure we'll jump into. But yeah, we are seeing that continued rise in maximalism, which really almost gives permission, if you will, to do the mixing and matching of the patterns and the colors and the things. And I think it's wonderful if it's someone's vibe. I find that as I get older in my own house, I definitely do more than, like I used to do a lot less. And now it's definitely more, you know? So I love seeing people do that.
But it's probably strategic. Like you take your bookshelf and it might have a bunch of things on it, but you have it strategically placed to have high, low, and visual. And
it has to, like, the thing is, that's what I tell people. Listen, at the end of the day, someone who does design, someone who, these planners, like, they really are the ones who understand color theory and design theory. And like, those are the ones you go to. Or frankly, if there's someone who does do it themselves, because I'm sure we've got some DIY couples here, nothing wrong with that. Like, we actually did our first DIY slide this year. And if someone has a knack for it, then go for it. You know, I love it. I love maximalism.
I don't have a hate for it, but I'm such a like 90s Calvin Klein cleaner aesthetic.
CK1.
But then I'll throw in a bunch of like more boho vibe. I mean, I'm in the studio today, but when you see me and I'm in my office at home, you can see the background with like my awards and all my like wedding books and self-help books and little trinkets from over the years. You know, I try to find a way to keep it still clean lines, but also add a little bit of
absolutely
to it. I can't do the overly cluttered. I think it was Dita Von Teese's Architectural Digest home tour that was just like so much. I'm like, I don't know where to even look watching this, let alone if I was in person, because there's just, you know, pattern wallpaper and taxidermy and books and all these things like that. When it's so much around, I think I just get too overstimulated,
which I get.
Maybe it's because I'm a highly emotional person, so we kind of get overstimulated easily. I don't know.
And for me, I like aim for that, like David Harbour and Liliana, and I know they're not together anymore, but they had that gorgeous, like that house with all the things and all. Yeah. And you're not going to see taxidermy in the house, but I do love seeing what they do. I mean, I aspire for my living room to have like real purpose with stuff. I mean, when it comes to it. So again, to each their own. Some of the couples will see maximalism and say it's not for them. Minimalism absolutely is still a thing. There are planners and designers who actually specialize in it. And so I love that as well. It's just what we're seeing is kind of a shift more towards more.
Yeah. And like the visuals that you shared to me didn't seem overly done. Like it was thoughtful.
No. And yeah, absolutely thoughtful when it comes. And I think that's important to note as well is it has to be done by someone who's got a real eye for it. That's going to be very important.
What's the line between a traditional maximalism versus cluttered?
So that's a great question because you saw in my slides that we had this whole other kind of look of clutter. And so maximalism is a very much, and again, as someone who's not a design person, but I bow to those who can do it. It's very well thought out. Like it falls into the design theories that they've learned in the principles and how we can make it attractive and hopefully not too overwhelming. Now, the clutter side of it is more of we're seeing that more in the photography side in the best way possible.
I actually love that.
Yeah.
The messy table.
That's so funny. So that's where the clutter shows up. And so in the best way possible. So you and I have talked over the years about, of course, flat lays, right? And so for our audience, if you are researching photographers, you're going to see all these gorgeous photos, but you're also going to see almost like the camera's on top of, and you see the details. Like you're going to see maybe save the date or invitation or a shoe or jewelry, and it's going to be put together very artfully and shot. And those are called flat lays. And those over the years have evolved. We're seeing more use of a play with shadows, which I love. I love. We have some people doing that really well. But what we're seeing is, and you have to be so good at your job, right? Like if I tried to do it,
you can make this wrong.
Like, Meghan, what is this?
I know. I tried doing it with my cell phone and it just looked like shit. It was not happening.
It's terrible. Mine would look terrible. But the idea of as you're rolling into the end of the evening, you've got tables that have been enjoyed, right? Because you know that the photographers come in ahead of time and they shoot them ahead of time to make sure they're very like whatever. But then you see maybe a little bit of a lipstick blot or lipstick on the glass and you're seeing a used napkin. But like what they do is they shoot parts of the table to show a well-loved experience, basically. One of the things I'm seeing as well, which again, because video doesn't play as well on the main stage, so it's a little bit harder, is on, again, TikTok, my best friend. What we're seeing are videos by the couples where it's artfully done too. It's the floor of the hotel room after the wedding. Oh. So it's like the shoes tossed aside and the dress. And I just think that's so fun.
Yeah.
It's a well-loved like space. It's been well used and enjoyed, and it tells a story. I love it. I'm glad that you love it too.
I do too. I'm 1,000% above it. I want that to never die. That trend should never ever die.
Oh, I love. Well, it shows the reality of things too, and I think that like a lot of people feel that things have to be curated, and it's like, I don't love that, but I also recognize that's kind of where we're just at, guys, where we're at, and so I love seeing. But you have to, like I said, you have to have the right people doing it. The photo that I shared, it was Kelly Hornberger. I mean, she's brilliant, right? She's brilliant. And so like she is an artist and you look and like she can make a whole pile of, used glasses just into this beautiful story.
I love that you said well loved because that is the best way to put those photos. Mm-hmm. People had a great time. There's that half-eaten cake and
yes, and it's better than I hate to say it, but it's better than the like whoever looks good dancing, and so the dancing photos, which there's some cool ones that pop up. For the most part, I mean, I've never looked good dancing ever. There's probably no recollection of it. And so
but people look happy.
They do, but if you can find other ways to show a good time had without people looking like dopes on the dance floor, like I'm all for it.
I do think you should have your videographer and photographer stay to the very end because the final couple songs are always the best moments.
Oh, it is.
And they
really
always get
fun.
missed when people cut out early.
They do. And they have to have the budget for it, but it's definitely.
You have to have the budget for that extra hour or so, but I think it's worth.
I do love that.
That's worth busting the budget a little bit for.
I love that.
People don't need the favors.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Get that ending of singing closing time or whatever you're going to do, or Mr. Brightside, or I
can't remember our last song, but we had a daytime wedding, so I can't even remember. I'll have to go back and see in our video.
Yeah, I love that. Imagine a wedding day where each detail is already taken care of, allowing you to savor every moment. At Sandals, your dream wedding can finally become a reality. From intimate elopements to grand celebrations, Sandals offers customizable packages for every size and style. Plus, everything is included. Your accommodations, gourmet dining, premium drinks, and all your wedding services. You get a dedicated wedding planner and an on-site team to manage everything from ceremony to reception. And here's a really sweet deal. Stay 7 nights or longer in a club or butler-level room, and you'll receive their Sweetheart Wedding Package, completely on them. That means your ceremony, decor, and even a delicious 2-tier wedding cake. For those of you who really want to be sure, you can even test drive your wedding experience before you book it. Stop dreaming and start planning. Head over to sandals.com today or call 1-877-SANDALS to create your unforgettable wedding experience. So next up, we have Reimagine Nautical plus Destinations. So let's start with Nautical first.
Okay, let's start with Nautical. Now, so Reimagine Nautical was my wild card. I allow myself a few of those throughout the years. And so for me, and it was funny because I do a soft launch of this trend, and I did it actually in Tahoe. Shout out to Twig, this great group out there. And someone raised their hand just like, I don't get it. And I thought, oh, I'm so glad she did that in a smaller space so I could better speak to it. And so Nautical, first of all, Nautical's not going anywhere. Like I love a navy and white stripe, like whatever.
Me too.
Like I just seen it 1,000 times. And so a lot of people, a nautical theme presents itself because of the location. Like it just makes sense, right? And so, but what we've noticed, which I think is very fun, is people taking nautical in a way, you look at it and you know it's nautical, but it's not so obvious, right? So
it's not just like anchors and...
Yeah, anchors away, we're married, the Smiths. Like it doesn't have to, if you want to do it. But like that, it can be different than that. And so what we did is we presented a few things, as you saw on the slides, is one was that beautiful purse that was like literally a pearl. Like it's like a pearl from the sea. It was just so beautiful. Away. Oh yeah. And then of course, we're so lucky to work with Armand over at A Cakes, who is a gift to the industry. She does cakes in a way that
she was just on Bridechilla. You guys can go back and listen to her bakery episode, her cake episode. She's great.
But she made this cake that it was just gorgeous. And at no point would you have looked at it initially and thought nautical till you totally connected the dots and said, no, wait, this is absolutely nautical. It was beautiful. So reimagining it in a way that doesn't have to be anchors away. It doesn't have to be the blue and white. If that's what you want to do it, do it.
Right.
But know that there's other ways to present it as well.
You don't have to be literal, I think is what you're trying to say.
That's a great way to, yeah.
Too many people want to be literal.
Yeah, I'm going to steal that from you. You don't have to be too literal. And I've also seen, one of the things that didn't make the cut because I couldn't explain it the way I wanted to was we're also seeing like kind of like whimsical lobster motif. Like I'm seeing more and more of that.
Okay, I'm so glad you said that. I just was doing a deep dive on a couple of different like party planning sites and stationery sites, just seeing like what's like new and trending in that space. And I was seeing still like the champagne tower, like on the napkins and stuff, and disco balls and that, obviously. But yeah, the amount of lobsters, I was like, is my friends, You're My Lobster coming back around? Which we'll get to 90s in a second because it is on your list.
No, that's so much fun. You know who's a good person to watch? I mean, her taste is in style's flawless, but Easton Events is just amazing and can do nautical in a way. And I caught a few little lobsters here and there on that. And I'm from the seacoast of New England. So like, I love that. My doormat is a lobster trap rope. Like it's made out of lobster trap rope. So obviously I love that stuff, but yeah.
So you are seeing that starting to trend up with couples.
Yeah, I am as part of it. But we had to pick one motif. So we went with swans because my team insisted they're seeing like swans popping up. So we did it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Like just the motif, like here and there. And it's so funny because once you see it, it's hard to unsee it. Just like calla lilies on the rise. You're going to see it everywhere now that I've said it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like calla lilies, swans, I don't feel like I see as trending every so few years the way I do like calla lilies. Calla lilies, I feel like every 5 to 8 years, they become like the big thing again. And they kind of trail off and then,
And then they come back. But this motif is kind of interesting. We've seen it in a bunch of weddings. So
interesting. So destination.
Yeah,
we're seeing Portugal and San Miguel.
So I really want to do a shout out here. So you know how I mentioned we reach out to some of our partners? Well, Destination I just went straight to them. I went straight to them. I love them. We love working with them. We love their site. And I was like, what are you guys seeing? Like, can we partner up a little bit on this? And so they were the ones, they took the reins and then we went through a bunch of trends and then narrowed it down. And so in terms of locations, what they told me, they said Italy is still very popular. I jokingly say as made popular by George Clooney, right? Like I would go just to see if I can
ever since his Lake Como.
If I can find him. But what they're seeing is more and more interest in Portugal, which I think is great. And I love the shout out to San Miguel because I was at San Miguel for B-Sage conference a couple of years ago. And it was just, it's just the most beautiful area. And so San Miguel is definitely on the rise as well. So we're seeing that. But one of the things I thought was interesting, and we're talking kind of shifts here, the economics of, because people are very mindful. We're in a weird economic time. Like I think we see this. That's what TikTok's telling me, all the things. And so what our friends at Destination I Do said in particular is that couples are embracing the shoulder season. So the idea of, yes, you can go in the middle of peak season. You're going to be paying more. And if you choose to do that, you choose to do that. Can't always justify the off season, right? Especially but the shoulder season, if you don't mind the fact that you might get a little rain, you might get a little this, that we're seeing more couples be open to that. And I think that's great. I mean, it's still going to be a beautiful, it's still going to be a beautiful time. And then the last thing we saw, which I thought was so practical, because let's be honest, so many couples have a second outfit, which is, I think I would have been too stressed to do that. Like, I don't want anyone to think they have to do that. But
now it's the norm.
Like, I would not have liked that because I loved my dress. I'm like, no, you can cut this off me later. Like, we're not doing that. But what they're seeing is, as you can imagine with Destination, think about your packing, right? How much you have to pack. And so we're seeing more and more Destination couples doing convertible gowns, just gorgeous, right? Where you get this gown, but there's a convertible nature to it. So you're not packing two dresses. So if you're wearing a dress, obviously.
Right.
So
that's
but those
great.
are what they're telling us. And I love that. I was deeply appreciative of Destination I Do to assist with this because they have their eyes on all of it,
Are they seeing similar for honeymoons then as well?
You know what? I'm not sure. We didn't do a deep dive into honeymoons. Okay. So I imagine for destinations, a lot of the couples will stay in the region or do something within, shouting distance as well. So
to me, I think it's the most cost-effective way to do it too.
Make
it a vacation or your honeymoon.
Even if you go to a different part of, you know what I mean? Because you're like, I don't want to be with my family anymore. Like, we want to go somewhere more private. You can go to different parts. San Miguel is about 2 hours from the airport. So 2.5 hours from a couple of airports. So you'd probably really just stay in San Miguel, I would imagine.
So we brought up the lobster. And I quoted Friends, obviously. I referenced Friends. Pop culture. Everyone that listens to the show enough and knows me and Meghan knows that pop culture, we're freaks. We have the Bridechilla Nerd Club, and we've done, 2-3 episodes deep diving on pop culture in weddings. Encourage you guys to go back and listen to those episodes. I love that pop culture and nostalgia are so huge for 2026. You have tailor-coded 90s and more celebrity-focused things.
Yeah, no, 100%. When it comes to nostalgia, I also think I don't know if it's quite a shift, but it's certainly a longer-term trend. Because here's the thing, nostalgia takes two forms. It's the decades that they're emulating, which right now it's the 90s, which is hilarious. Or as my son calls it, the 1900s, back in the 1900s. Anyways, nothing for him for Christmas. But the other part of nostalgia, which we've seen more in previous years, is like shout outs to like a summer camp that you used to go to.
Oh,
you know, so it's like a theme. So yeah, I know we're seeing the 90s right now, which you and I both love. Those shout outs. My slide in particular was dedicated to Friends, which I thought was fun, and people doing it. But yeah, we're seeing more of that. And I think it comes down to what we find, and this is a little more psychological, but nostalgia is comforting in many different ways. And so there's a level of comfort, and whether it's because of the state of the world and how we are existing in it right now, whether it's just the fact that wedding planning is stressful, no matter how easy you try to make it on yourself. Like nostalgia brings a level of comfort that I think is a welcome addition during what could be a high stress, high anxiety, despite our best efforts kind of time.
Yeah. So you do think it's more just like a comfort factor is why we're leaning in
100%
so much.
Yeah.
When I had got married the first go around, my bridal shower was Friends themed. Like I really wanted a Friends themed. So my best friend Nicole had the sign that said the one where Leah gets married. And we had all the food be food and drinks that were from the show, you know, like Rachel's trifle and
I love that.
the Joey's sandwiches or pizza and cheesecake, like anything that was related to the show. And so that's a fun way too. Like if you have a favorite show or movie, you can lean into it with all of your different parties, not just the wedding, obviously, like your shower, your engagement, whatever. So don't forget that you can do that too.
And it can be very subtle too. You know what I mean? You could do overt, which I love, but you could also be like, what was not subtle was my Death Star cake at my wedding. Like that wasn't subtle, but there were smaller motifs that were subtle, you know, and you can do that too. And I love it. I think it's fun.
Yeah. I'm here for it.
Yeah.
I'm a font nerd. I don't know if you know that about me. Like I have an obsession with fonts. Like
interesting. What's your
favorite? I could spend hours staring at
What's your favorite computer font? Like the regular fonts they give you?
Every day I have Georgia is my email. Like if I see it go to like an Impact or a Times New Roman, like I get really annoyed. For myself.
Georgia.
For myself.
Okay.
Like that's not how I want to write. Georgia's like my go-to for emails. Laura's been a go-to for a while. But anyways, Lobster is a very 70s type font. And I'm seeing like with the napkins, back to like looking at the party sites and the different stationery sites, like shout out to Minted. I see a lot of like the 60s and 70s style fonting still trending. And I love it. That's another one I'm here for, but
yeah, no, I think that's really interesting. I'll have to keep an eye out. I'm going to go look that up after.
Yeah, go deep dive on fonts. I think fonts need more love. Fonts need more attention.
No, I have a great admiration for fonts. I actually do. Growing up, I was a Garriman girl. I don't know if I said that correctly, but like growing up, that was everything. But now, because all my Google Docs are like quick and dirty to the journalist, so it's Calibri or whatever you print out. But it's only because it's like function. I need functional and I need it to go out to them. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't hate on that one. I can't do like an Impact anymore or anything like that because when working back in news, when I would be actually helping the guys in the truck for sporting events, Impact was always like the font for the lower thirds for sporting events. And it's just like,
oh my God.
It's boring. It's just like a thick, straight line. It's very like Impact. Like just think like stamping.
Now I'm nervous about
I'm a cursive girl.
I'm like, what did I do? See, I'm not a cursive person, even though I appreciate cursive. But for font, like I'm very practical. Like even though I do really have a deep appreciation for font. And I also have a deep appreciation for like kerning, like space between fonts and things like that. But cursive, I want readability. Like that's my big thing.
Let me be specific. Like I like how I write. So like, I have like a cursive L for Leah, but then it's kind of like half cursive, half not for the rest.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so like,
it does.
When I see the overly formal, scripty font for things and I can't read it, it's very formal, very like how all invitations used to be growing up. That is a little too much for me, but like a little whimsy.
I love it. I love it.
A little whimsy. That's what I guess I'm trying to articulate.
Whimsy.
Whimsy.
That's really fun.
I can just go all day about fonts. So Taylor coded. I know we talk ad nauseum about Taylor Swift on here, but this is a thing for 26. So what does it mean to be Taylor coded?
So the thing is this. We started our presentation with it because I think it would be bananas not to acknowledge the fact that Taylor Allison Swift is getting married at some point. And I know
supposedly June of this year is the rumor.
We'll see. But it's just one of those things that we have to acknowledge, like whatever she does is going to be the trend. But it's two different things Taylor coded. One, it's going to be weddings that you have Taylor enthusiasts, Swifties, if you will, who maybe they will overtly or just kind of little bit, we'll put some Taylor stuff in there. It could be lyrics. It could be names. The tables are lyrics. It could be, we've seen some color incorporated. We've seen eras actually incorporated. It depends on how much they want to incorporate. So we're seeing
the music,
now,
maybe. Probably the
music, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As well. But then the other side of it is, when she gets married, and we really won't know. I'm sure it's at one of her properties. That's the only way she's going to have the most control over it is at one of her or his property. Like that's it. I would be shocked. I've been shocked by other things, but like in my life, like the Pantone color. So who knows? But shout out Pantone.
Shout out Clown Dancer.
Yeah, shout out Clown Dancer. You're the worst. But anyways, but it depends on how much is covered. I'm hoping for her sake that there's coverage afterwards. I'm hoping from a publicity, and I promise this gets back to trends in a second, that maybe they work out a deal a la Brangelina where it's like, we will sell the photos, donate it to charity. Yeah. This is where
I can see that
is.
being the thing.
I'd love that because then it's done. Then you've got the photos and it's done. And that is what people are going to want to do, what she does. So there's going to be a real pivot, if you will, friends shout out, pivot to whatever she's doing. That's it. And so what we'll really get into is what is she doing? How can you incorporate it? How can you incorporate it from a budgetary standpoint as well? Just like her engagement, which was...
I was going to say the rings and the flowers. Are you seeing that trending?
Yes. Yeah. Like I think the flowers will get there, but the ring, I mean, the person who did her ring, like she's sold out forever, like forever. I think it's amazing to have a small business. Like I love it so much for
with
that
florals.
company.
You think we'll end up seeing by the end of 26 and going to 27, the secret garden being the theme?
Yes. And I say that because it's very Meghan Markle coded. Meghan Markle, Prince Harry coded at their wedding when they had that huge arch. And it's like, I saw that arch for 2 years. Because if you think about it, like that's a production. That's not something you just decide same year unless you really haven't picked out your florals. And you're probably not going to pivot to that. So really it's a year and a half that we're going to see that. And it's fine. I thought it was lovely for them. It was so romantic and beautiful. But I was
very
like,
themed for her, right? Like he really was attuned to her.
Yeah. And if people don't do that, I'm cool with that too.
Are you still seeing flower walls be a thing?
I mean, yeah, but it's kind of like the tail end of, you know what I mean? Because the trends, they tail off, and it depends on the region as well. Regions that, tend to get trends a little bit. Shout out Richmond, Virginia, because we tend to be, even though the internet has really brought us closer in terms of the length of a trend, but the accessibility of different vendors and the creatives and things like that. So yeah, we do, but I think it's, going away.
Yeah.
Fine by me.
I like it for a step and repeat at an event. When you have to pose in front of something, like that's fun. But
I do think that's fun. Like if some people want like an Instagram friendly wall, like I do think that's fun, but there's so many different things you can do besides a floral wall. Just like we saw when I was talking about like the equestrian library sort of motif, like they're different. That's why it caught my interest,
Yeah. Are you still seeing lounges being a thing?
Yes. But I see it being interpreted so many different ways. It's fun to see. My friend Morgan co-owns Paisley and Jade here in Richmond. And they've been doing vintage and unique rentals forever, since almost as long as I've been in business as well. And it's fun to see. I mean, the lounges are very popular. You can tell on all their socials and just talking with her, but they've been reimagined so many different ways over the years. And I love that because that is a guest forward sort of thing you're thinking about, because not everybody wants to be on the dance floor. It's so loud. And I know that makes me feel old, but guys, when I was 20, I thought it was too loud too. So just so you know, this is very consistent in my life. Like, this isn't my first day thinking weddings are too loud sometimes.
How often do you see home design influencing weddings?
Oh, all the time. I think they go hand in hand. And it depends on who goes first, but usually interior design goes first, I would say. And then
it's a chicken and egg situation?
Yeah, sometimes. But I do think interior design will win out. And I think the very best of the wedding pros who can find inspiration outside of the industry through architecture and art and interior design, like they're the ones who bring it in. And I love it.
There have been a few planners on the show that have made that recommendation that when you're trying to figure out your look and vibe, stop looking at Pinterest and Instagram and TikTok for a minute and go look in your house.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to that, I would say that when it comes to, looking for inspiration, I think that it absolutely, I think it really depends on pulling from all sorts of different things other than the wedding. Because that's the thing is you have to think about, first of all, you really want to pull from your own personality, right? You want to put when it comes to that. But if you're worried about kind of doing something that's just been done a lot, pulling directly from the wedding industry maybe is not the best the best bet,
Yeah.
But it's what you want at the end. If someone sees something beautiful on Pinterest from a year and a half ago, then do it,
I 1,000% back that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. One of my favorite topics is fashion.
Yes.
So what are we seeing this year? What's trending?
In terms of fashion, we're seeing all sorts of things. I mean, I'm curious from the slides, like if anything stood, like being a fashion person.
I'm a huge block heel person, so
my
that
gosh,
gave
I
me
was
life.
going to say that one. I'm just not
Gives me life.
heel
Give me
person.
platforms and block heels all day, every day.
I thought you would like that being a 90s lady as well.
Oh my God,
think
I love
that's wonderful. But I'm loving, of course, we're still seeing scarves, which I kind of went back and forth on because we're seeing it now, and I think it will fade away. Capes.
It's very 90s to me.
I love capes. Yeah, me too. Capes. Mm-hmm. I thought I love seeing what people are doing with capes, of course, and I think that's been incredible.
Do you think capes will last longer this time? Because I feel like it had a short-lived moment a few years back, and it was sad.
I do, because it can come off, and when it comes to that. And I love pleating, the texture. Again, we're going back to textures and so forth as well. I'm loving seeing that too. And of course, I shout out to Taylor, and this is not quite fashion, but like the hand engraved jewelry that we're seeing, that's going to be, I think that's something that's going to, people are going to be introduced to that concept, but pleating for the dresses. But we're also seeing a lot of like gender fluid options, which I think is wonderful. Like I'm really, the gender fluid, we had this gorgeous blouse, like kind of blouse situation I put on the slides this year. And I was so unhappy because I saw that blouse on the Emmys, like the red carpet. And I was like, what? This was my idea. Like, it wasn't mine. It was my team's.
Like, I claimed this.
We claim this, but I love seeing that. We're seeing bows, which is kind of fun, like on suits, because suits are fun. You can have so much fun with suits. Like we're seeing a lot of embroidery in the last year, which we saw last year on it, but now we're seeing like bows infused on that as well. Veiled hats, which are very like gender fluid as well.
Yes.
So we're just seeing a lot of cool interpretation of what they want to look like on their wedding day. It's been really fun,
The veiled hat just makes me think of the scene with, was it Vendela was the model in the remake of The Parent Trap with Lizzie Lohan? The whole
I think
photo shoot scene with the bride. That's what I thought of when I saw that. Because it was on the runway show at New York's Bridal Fashion Week. I saw quite a few hats with
I love it. I recently did a speaking event, shout out WIPA, they're down in Nashville, and it was Kentucky Derby themed. And my first thing was, I'm not wearing a hat on stage. Like, so if that takes me out of the running, it takes me
Did you just get some kind of like headband with a thing on it?
I did nothing. And they were cool
I thought
with
you'd
it.
want to do at least like the London, UK wedding.
It'll fall right off my head. I don't have time for things to be pinned on me and then say a prayer that it doesn't fall off. Like, no. I mean, I'm already balancing a lavalier. Something on my body's probably taped. Like, I just can't add another dimension to what am I keeping up,
I love it. Are basque waists still trending? Because
they are. I mean, it's something that's kind of trickling in from last year. And I think it can look really good on the right.
If you love it, I'm not trying to poo-poo it. So I know it's not my personal jam.
Sure. But I actually had a basque waist of like a very subtle basque waist dress from Rent the Runway that I really loved. Like, because it can be very flattering. It wasn't like, it was just for me. It was like this red kind of number I used for some networking this year. And I really liked it. But everyone's different, and it doesn't suit everybody, It's like, I would hate an empire on me. I think that would look terrible. But like some people may love that. I don't know. But yeah.
What's in your fuck it bucket for 2026? What can just go, in your opinion?
Keyboard warriors. What I mean by that is this. I love that couples are kind of moving over to Reddit. There's so many different great groups out there. Shout out Big Budget Brides, because I did an AMA on that and it was really fun. I love that they found a home there. And I love that vendors have found spaces as well. But I'm getting really tired. I know this isn't quite a trend, but it's around planning of both sides. Like it's all bad, right? Like it's going to be the couples, but it's also the vendors who get brave because they're behind a keyboard and they start shooting their mouth off online. I am over it. That is everything from, I have seen wonderful wedding pros practically disintegrate in front of me because and believe me, I'm going to poo-poo on both sides of it, because you've got a couple who think they were wronged when they weren't. Like legally everything was done correctly, and they feel they can have an audience on TikTok and turn it into something. And I think that's dangerous legally and a bunch of other reasons. So But then the other side of it is I see vendors who complain on like a Threads or something. And it's like, you do know this is indexed by Google and we can all see it, right? And so and believe me, I have to sit here and say, listen, I don't have context for every situation that's ever happened online. So I can't, but I find direct, clear conversation that level is so much better than bitching about it online. And I think it really takes away from the planning experience on both sides. I would love to see people embrace having their own private spaces where they can moan about something and not put it all over the internet, because it does a lot of damage on so many different sides. It's wild to me how many people think they've been wronged on both sides of it. So I could go on and on as a publicist. I would love to see
bet it drives you nuts.
That part of the culture go away, because I just don't think it does good for anybody. Go
Does this
talk
circle
to your
back to your need for validation?
Maybe a little bit, or need for an audience. Sometimes people feel they need an audience when it's if you can cultivate some really great personal relationships that you can lean on once in a while, and also have a lawyer, you don't need to publicly air the dirty laundry of whatever, especially since we're at a time of heightened emotion in the wedding industry for many reasons. It's the couples. Listen, planning a wedding. I planned my own. I had a day of coordinator who was amazing, but I planned it, and that's my background, and it was still stressful. I get it. I also understand that the wedding industry is this weird precipice right now. It's highly competitive. The economy's weird. Everyone has heightened, but to go ahead and be only brave when we get behind a keyboard is wild to me. So I bet you didn't expect me to say that, but you probably were thinking I was going to say high heels.
No, but I love it. Thank you for saying it. I want that no bullshit take.
Yeah, I just think that I just see it too often. I think it hurts the vendors. I think it hurts. There's some people who do it well and they do it really funny and kind of make fun, and I'm cool with that. There's a few people on.
They can do it with a wink.
Yeah. I see Rothweiler, Danielle, she's on TikTok and she's hilarious. And I don't mean her. I mean the people who are listen, I've got this couple and they're doing terrible. And it's on threat. And you're what are you doing? Why are you doing it here? Go listen to Leah Weinberg, our wedding lawyer, right? She'll tell you all the reasons you shouldn't be doing that. But I also think I want the planning experience to be pleasurable for the couples. And when things are heightened, if we can't maybe this is just the New England girl in me, but you just cut to the chase, man. Just get to the bottom of it, get it figured out, and move on and go enjoy your wedding.
That's why we always preach on here, communicate, communicate, communicate. And going on social media, not the answer.
Yeah, it's just not the answer to go there. Yeah. I hope you don't mind. But I just I knew you were going to ask. And it was my immediate thought. I was I love these online spaces where people have been able to help each other. And I know Reddit's very public. But it just pains me when I see people feel like they're being wronged one way or the other. I'm not blaming couples and I'm not blaming vendors. I think it's both sides. I think everyone needs to find their own safe space and go to that instead and work it out.
Well, thanks for that bucket. I think that's a really good one. And we can apply to even outside of the wedding space, right? In other parts of our life.
Yeah, we don't need to air, I see some people, let me say, there's some people on TikTok who've taken it to TikTok after many, many tries elsewhere. I'm not blaming them, but I think that we don't start saying, I'm going to go blast this online. It's what?
Well, it's like family members or older friends on Facebook that make it like it's their damn diary. And it's
I know, or vague booking. Y'all, I'm just think of me, but I can't tell you why. It's stop. Just stop, everybody. Stop, grandma. Anyways, but no, I just think that we all need to take a step back from that. I think that I just can't respect anyone who can be brave behind a keyboard, but can't actually face-to-face, handle these things. I think it's a skill that it's a skill we all need to have,
Absolutely. All right. Quick little rapid fire, kind of like a mini fuck it bucket, if you will.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Let me know if you're for it, over it, could do with whatever.
Yeah.
And most of these are a little bit older trends or not really trending anymore, but I'm curious your takes. So pampas grass.
I'm kind of over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just over it. I've just seen it enough and it seems messy and no thank you. Bye.
Champagne towers.
I'll keep it a little bit longer, but I like towers where you put other stuff in it instead, like tiramisu. I'm kind of like oysters. Something. Well, you got to eat them quick. But yeah, I just saw someone send me one that had Jell-O in it. I'm more for towers, but let's get rid of the champagne. I think it's a waste of champagne.
It's done.
Yeah, we're done.
It's sticky. Dusty neutrals.
I'd rather toss that aside and go for bright and bold.
Flat lays.
I'm for it, but that's because I'm a publicist and we need them for submissions. But I would love to see them continue to evolve and, the use of shadows, things like that.
Thematic overstyling.
What's thematic overstyling?
How I kind of like picture this as like when you have a theme and you make the whole thing like that theme. Like we were kind of talking about earlier, being literal. Mm-hmm. Like if it's nautical and you're going all in.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it for consistency and if there's the right reasoning behind it. If you really love it, do it. If you love fonts and you need a font themed event, do it,
I would love a font themed event.
You're like, that sounds amazing.
Monograms everywhere.
I live in the South, y'all. I'm over it. Everything's monogram. Let's stop. Especially since that assumes that one of the people takes the last name. Like, let's not do that unless it's two first name. Yeah, let's toss it, guys. I don't know.
Buffet dinners.
Keep it if we have to. Yeah. I mean, I just want to be respectful of the fact, even though I think buffets actually cost more oftentimes than a plated dinner, but the variety works for some people and the informality. So I'm not gonna poo-poo that option.
Holiday weddings.
I want to take them and throw them in the trash can. I really do. Listen,
so this is a bucket for sure.
Yeah, let me be clear. May I be clear on this though? Listen, if someone wants to host something the first week in December and there's a theme to it, I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine. But my problem is, for the most part, a holiday wedding that is very close to the holidays inconveniences all your guests. And I'm never going to be okay with that. Whether you do a Labor Day wedding or a Sunday of Labor Day, if you are somebody, I'm sorry, this is a really long answer, but if you are someone who knows your audience and they would love a New Year's Eve wedding, then do it. But if you weren't sure that that's what people want to spend their time doing, like I've had people who, I go on and on about couples I used to work with. They had a New Year's Eve wedding, but they ended at 10, which is such an asshole move, right?
That's such an asshole move.
I had one years ago where they hosted on the Friday of Thanksgiving because they wanted to save money. We were at a 5-star property and they thought it was like a dessert reception. Like it was and then they were so pissed that this is a true story. I warned them ahead of time, no one's coming to your rehearsal on Thanksgiving. And they tried to do it. We opened a room for them and let them go because the hotel's open all the time. They were mad that people wouldn't come on Thanksgiving So and
then you had to work on Thanksgiving.
Girl, I didn't. We just unlocked and we're go in there and rehearse in a little banquet space. You're ridiculous. I'm not doing that. Not even. No, ma'am. I was not there. Neither was, I don't think, that might have had a banquet staff on. That's it. We were not doing it. And time and a half, hopefully, for that. But so
think about the hotels too.
The hotel's always open. So at least that's the thing. The hotels don't close. But I would say if you're doing something that's holiday-y, okay, fine. But please be mindful of your guests. That's wild to me. I would never touch a holiday wedding with a 10-foot pole. I wish people would toss those to the garbage.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I made the mistake. My first go around, we got married Memorial Weekend. And I thought I was doing a good thing because most people were coming in from out of town. But here's where I messed up. I thought I was doing the right thing because everyone was coming in from out of town for the wedding. So I figured plan it on an extended holiday weekend. So they had the extra day of travel. Mm-hmm. A lot of them luckily had family to stay with here because they originally were from here. So not too many had to pay for a hotel. But you have to consider that with your guests that I hadn't considered, and the price of everything else, being up. But yeah, I would never do that again. That was just dumb. I also did a whole wedding week, and I would never do that bullshit either.
Well, I appreciate you being so candid, because I'm shitting on you. You're well, actually.
Oh, no, I'm shitting on myself.
Memorial Day is Memorial Day and Labor Day are some of the busiest wedding weekends of the year. I just think that unless you know your audience, and I appreciate you being so candid about it, it's well, if they've already got long-time plans. But really, that Thanksgiving one is the most ridiculous thing I've ever been a part of.
That's just dumb.
That was so stupid.
Oh my God.
Anyone on here would agree with me. I'm sorry. There's not a single couple that's going to listen to this and not think, yeah, that was terrible to expect people to come and do a rehearsal.
Did they make their theme I'm thankful for you? Did they twist it like that?
Their theme was I'm going to spend as little as possible at a 5-star 5-diamond hotel. That's what it was. I tried so hard back in the day to get them booked elsewhere, because imagine how they could stretch their dollars more at a property that wasn't 5-star. It was this 7 p.m. evening dinner, evening event. And then they did a dessert reception, no food. It was, whew. I think at that, like, it's hard. You can't turn down, like, you have to be very careful. You can't, you just have to try and dissuade if you think it's not a good idea. But at the end of the day,
hopefully we're dissuading you if you're listening and you're thinking about doing a Thanksgiving wedding.
Yeah, don't do it, people.
Again, like, unless Meghan said, like, unless you know that your core group, like, the people are going to be there are 1,000% behind it. Yeah. Yeah. Same with New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve is a really good example. And especially if you can do it at a hotel and you can stay late and everyone's on board, but people who want to leave can leave. Like, that's my thing. Yeah, I could go on and on about this.
What costs more than couples think right now?
I mean, everything. But the biggest sticker shock that people tend to have is photography. Even though I think they are priced accordingly, but I think people, and even cinematography as well, they think, well, they're there for 8 hours. That's like $1 million an hour. It's like, no. Like, there's so much more that goes into that. So I think people underestimate what photography and videography is just because they've never had to hire a special events team before. So they don't know about that. I think that's one of the biggest things that really, I think florals out of season are really hard, for people. But, I want this. And it's like, well, that we're gonna have to fly that in. And now with tariffs and all those things, like, who even knows, right? So that's some of the biggest sticker shock. But again, I do feel that they price accordingly. It's just, they just don't know.
What trend do most planners love?
Oh gosh, I can't speak on behalf of, it's hard to speak.
Just because you talk to so many, I'm curious if there's something that stood out.
Color. They love color. Yeah. And when people want to personalize, they love something different than cloud dancer.
Well, I was gonna say, if you wanted to see how real Meghan's answer is, go on Instagram to anything with Pantone, and you'll see the slew of wedding industry vendors pissed.
Yeah, I did a reaction thing that was like, at post gym, I'm all sweaty, but like I couldn't help myself. I was like, what is this? But no, I think any creativity, anything that leans into creativity, they're going to be excited about, because you guys have to remember, these guys are creatives. They're brilliant with design and style and all those things. And they want to be able to stretch their brain a little bit differently. Like, all jokes aside about Pantone, putting together, we actually partnered with Bridal Guide and rolled out a very quick article. As much as I was, I still loved the creative challenge of showing how it could be used in a way. And they appreciated that. So we want to be able to stretch ourselves and be better at what we do.
Yeah. What trend is TikTok going to ruin?
I'm going to answer this a little creatively, because I do think TikTok could it's just too much of one trend, and then that happens, like an oversaturation. But if we're really being candid here, I would say I don't want people who are on TikTok as much as I feel that the day of, when you're getting ready and you're trying to keep up with your coffee and you're wearing your robes, you're like, that you have to do a transition. You have to have a transition. Like, you have to do a transition video. So I don't want people to feel it has to be done. We see a lot of those transition videos where you get, like maybe it's a bride with their wedding party or whatever. And then it goes to them looking beautiful. And I love that. But I think about Renee Dallow and I, who's one of my best friends, and we do silly transition videos sometimes when we're in different things, when we're together, how long it takes to do something that's minimal effort, right? Like, she's actually the producer of them. I'm the, whatever. But when I think about how long that takes, can you imagine? I hate the idea. Those transition videos, if you're not building in time for it, I think it could really muck up your timeline. I really do.
Oh, and there's a point, timeline. If you are going to do something like this, if you need to do some kind of dance trend or whatever, you need to have it ahead of time in your timeline.
Yes. Anything. I am a big timeline person. When I was in events, I was not creative. I had to bring in people who really knew design and color and things. But for me, I was a timeline person. And you can be both, don't get me wrong. But I was really, so anything I was hyper fixated on, and anybody who could really throw that off. But I think the transition videos could really muck that up. Build in time for it. Let people know ahead of time you're doing this trend or this theme or this whatever. And let's move on and build accordingly.
Is it the new, I say new, it's been around for a minute now, but do you think it's been replacing the getting ready photos that have been so big for so long with everyone their matching robes or pajamas?
I think right now it's I think it's augmenting. I think you're still going to have the photographer in the room. But I do think that it could maybe replace that partial of that need, that real push to have it.
Yeah, because I'm not seeing it as common anymore. Like, it's more pajamas than robes, but I'm not seeing it as much as I used to.
Well, I think part of it comes down to budget, and hopefully the photographers will lead them in the right direction about what should be covered and what's not necessary,
Yeah. All right, last one of these.
Okay.
What trend will peak and fade fast?
Of all the things we're seeing right now,
Yeah.
I think the towers will fade. I think that we saw it peak as champagne. I think that it's going to stay peaked with some creative stuff this year, but then I think it's going to fall off just because there's a lot of logistics. My catering brain, I haven't touched a catering event in 1,000 years, but I think about you have to pay for all of those, even if they're used or not. You eaten, enjoyed, whatever. And so I think people will look at that and say, I don't know if I necessarily, or I need it as big as it is. I've seen some more smaller ones that I think are fun too.
Yeah, because it was transitioning finally out of champagne to being espresso martinis and Aperol spritzes, and now it's desserts like you brought up, the tiramisu.
Dessert makes more sense than champagne or espresso, especially espresso martinis, because you have to have a certain desire for that,
Yeah, that's something to consider too. Not only the cost, which you're paying for the actual
waste.
alcohol and the glassware.
Yeah.
So you get charged per glass
too after a while.
Yeah, but also will your guests really want to enjoy that? Are they a champagne kind of crowd? Are they a tiramisu kind of crowd? You do have to consider that. All right, final question, and this goes back to our pop culture freakness. There's a lot of celebrities currently engaged. Obviously, we talked about Taylor and Travis. But, you have Dua Lipa, Camila Mendes, Lady Gaga is still engaged, Jason Segel, Zendaya. The list goes on, right? Who's the soccer player that gave his girlfriend the 25,000 carat ring or whatever?
Oh, I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
So there's so many people about to get married. Of all of the celebrities, who are you most excited to see?
I mean, I'm going to have the most basic answer, but let me just preface by saying, as we know from the OG Bridechilla days, I'm a big royal wedding person. Of course, It's Taylor Swift. Of course it is. And I'm not even a Swiftie, but
our
I
princess.
just think, our queen even, I think that there's just going to be such a shift. I think there's going to be so much conversation around it. Plus she's a cat lady. So I'm dying to see how cats will be incorporated. So that's what it is. It is. And I know that's a basic answer. I think from a fashionable standpoint, I think Zendaya is going to be awesome if they do, but they're pretty private too. So we'll see. Yeah. But I think for me, what about you?
Definitely Taylor. I'm curious what Dua Lipa is going to do because I think she has such great style. She's so fun. I think hers will be really interesting. I agree with you on Zendaya being more private, so we might get a photo that they post on social, and that's all we get, kind of like Jennifer Aniston, which I'm still angry. I only got the tops of one dress with Brad Pitt and nothing of Justin.
Yes.
They're all I want to see the dresses.
I want to see the whole thing.
When I was re-looking at who is engaged currently, I didn't realize Jason Segel got engaged, and that kind of excites me because I never think about the groom aspect of it, the male celebrity. There's so much focus on the female, but I like to see what he ends up doing because he seems like a fun character, and she seems like a sweet girl. So
I think it'll be fun.
But I'm curious to see most of all what trends come about with these because I think with Benny and Selena, I love their wedding photos so much. I love their wedding photography.
Yeah. Oh, those were beautiful. We had so much fun with that. We worked with the LA Times on some stuff. We had so much fun with that.
Do you see the vintage from them translating? Because I feel a lot of things that they did were already kind of trending, the small vintage wedding cake and stuff. That's already been kind of a theme. But do you think her bob and the way her dresses were and their vibe?
We might see some of that influence. We were knee deep into the trends when it came to that. So it'll be interesting to see if that kind of trickles in or if that was kind of in a flash, flash in the pan.
All right. Well, I would love to know what y'all are excited for. So make sure you comment when you see this on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, please comment below. Let us know what you're excited about with the trends and what you're not excited about. We're fine with your hot takes too. We're here for it. And if you're listening to this, hop over to either YouTube or go on our Instagram page and comment and let us know. Love to hear from you. Meghan, as always, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you for all the things.
Thank you. This was such a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoy what I love about coming on here is we have fun with it. We're unapologetic, but also we talk about the logistics of it too. And I really appreciate the opportunity to do that.
Well, I always appreciate you. Love you, girl. Yay. And we'll see you soon. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.